Hello and welcome back to Actually Let's Talk About It with me, your host Lily, and y'all, I am finally back with another DPR IAN reaction. This time it is to the Skins demo music video, and y'all, I'm so excited because I do know that MITO is basically DPR IAN stated, and so many of y'all said in the comments, this is completely MITO's song, just like Seraph. And I'm like, I cannot wait to hear what it's going to be. Everybody's telling me that it is deep. It is only 1 minute and 53 seconds, y'all. And so we're going to get immediately into it. But before we get into it, we're going to do the message of solidarity that this channel has been doing for a hot minute since November. And just to let you know where I stand in terms of, and where me and my channel stand in terms of what is going on with the world and the indigenous people who are being affected by the world events. So first and foremost, I do want y'all to always remember that this channel is in complete and utter solidarity with the indigenous people all around the world facing forces of oppression, genocide, neocolonialism, colonialism, imperialism, and settler colonization in any way, shape, or form. And I will always be on the indigenous people's side and never the governments who aid and abet their oppression, even if it is my own. For real, for real. And now we're going to get into what is happening with the people in Congo and Palestine and Sudan. And if you have been on my channel, you already know that I have talked about these things, and I will make more in-depth videos relatively soon, hopefully before the end of this year. But for now, it's just a quick overview. There are people who are suffering in all of these regions, and especially the children, because they are having to go through this harsh winter and see things that children should not have to see. I'm talking about war, dead bodies, people in pieces that they know and love, losing their parents, losing their grandparents, losing their siblings. And it is hard enough when that happens to you as an adult, okay? I know what it's like to lose family members that you love, but I've never lost them horrifically. And I don't think people understand that the longer we delay a ceasefire in Gaza, the longer we delay it, the more children will need so much access to mental health resources. And before the war in Gaza, over half of the population that were young people, because over half of the population in Gaza is people under the age of 18. So over half of the population, according to psychiatrists, were suffering from some form of mental health already. So before the war, before the siege on Gaza. And now I can't even imagine how much they are going to have to unpack, even if there's a ceasefire, the amount of mental health that they will need to process all of this, the amount of psychiatrists, the amount of therapy. I'm not even sure where to start. That's how crazy everything is. Because how do you treat someone in therapy after they went through a genocide, after they've witnessed these things, and they are children? They're 3, 2, 1, and they have seen things that people should not be seeing, experienced and lived through things that people shouldn't be living through. I'm just wondering how that therapy session would even begin. But with a ceasefire, at least they'll be able to start. And that's all I really want, Palestine to be free in every aspect of the word, because you can't have peace when you don't have freedom. My ancestors who were enslaved, they didn't know peace because they weren't free. They didn't know true peace until they were free. And even when Black people were free in the United States, they were still being terrorized. Even now in 2023, in certain regions of the United States, Black people are still being terrorized. And I'm like, I think about that. If freedom shouldn't feel like a threat to anybody who's not an oppressor. And I'm going to leave it there. And then the situation in the Congo, my ancestry goes back to the Congo. So seeing them go through this with the amount of the millions of displaced Congolese people, with the way that they're being forced into another form of slavery, if not blatant slavery in the mines, to mine the materials that give us our little smartphones and our laptops and our camcorders and our cameras. it's not worth their lives, and it never will be to me. And so it is free Congo until they're free. And then in Sudan, where Western powers, including my own government, is endorsing war, encouraging war on both sides so that they can come in and take the resources. One of the most heaviest resources in Sudan is gold. And this is all a part of a neo-colonialist government's scheme. And it's unfortunate. And it's unfortunate because the children and the men and the women who have to suffer mentally, physically, and spiritually because of it, it's not worth it to me. It'll never be worth it for me. Human life being lost is never worth it to me. When the end goal is colonialism and greed and capitalism. Things that we love to say we're above, but it's what our governments live by. So yeah, just had to take a moment there and acknowledge what's going on in the world, because we do want to be the change we want to see. And yeah, I'm going to leave it there. And if y'all want more information, I'm going to leave the links in the bio as usual. And now we're going to do our patron shout out and see. And then we're going to see what we're going to get in this demo for skins, okay? So first patron shout out, it will go out to Genoviva. The second patron shout out will go out to Clover Me. The third patron shout out will go out to Sammy. The fourth patron shout out will go out to AL or IL. Please let me know if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly in the comments. The fifth patron shout out will go out to Kalia. Again, please let me know if I'm mispronouncing your name in the comments. And then the sixth and final patron shout out will go to Amphis. And I want to thank you all so much for the support on the Patreon. It really does mean the world to me. And also a big shout out to subscribers on YouTube. Thank y'all for your likes, your comments, your shares, and all your interactions. It really does boost the morale. And I'm like trying to like and heart everything and respond to those that need responding. And yeah, y'all, I appreciate it. And thank y'all so much. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you have yet to subscribe to the channel but would like to support the channel further, do not forget to do so. But yeah, without further ado, we are going to get into the demo for skins and just see what we are going to get here.
And I keep it there until there's nothing left over. I gave it all so you can dream it all, but now I stand alive. I broke down all my doors. How do you say it now? Nothing was fixed at all. I never asked to be like this. I never asked to be like this.
Ooh, that was deep. Damn. I'm like, there was a lot to unpack there. I mean, like, it was not, I never asked to be like this part for me. I'm like, yeah. And I think that there's so much to say about this one here. and like you feel for him in a deeper way. And I'm like, you feel for MITO in a deeper way here, because like he definitely didn't ask to be like this. It just the way things went, the way life goes, really. And I think that people have, especially people, and by people I mean myself included, we have a way that we think DID looks, the way that we think bipolar disorder looks, but we don't live it. And I'm like, and there's an understanding that you'll never have. You could have all the empathy in the world, but you still will not understand. You still will not understand what it's like to live in people's shoes. And I think that I never asked to be like this part is true for both DPR IAN and MITO, because you can't really control if you have DID or not. Some people don't ever find out that they have it. Ever. Like, they just are never aware that they have it at all. And I'm like, until like sometimes later in their lives and things like that. And some people aren't aware that they're bipolar either, or they have other mental illnesses until they go in and get evaluated, or someone mentions something offhandedly and then they investigate it just to see, you know, what maybe is there some truth to what they're talking about. And it's kind of like when he said he opened all his doors, and I'm like, yeah, because I think it's very important to understand people that have DID, the personalities are just as real as a person who's in control most of the time. And there's many situations and circumstances and emotions and events that can bring it about, but there's no concrete explanation as to why personalities are created in the first place. There's just not a concrete explanation that can be given. A DID is still being studied. There's not enough research. I'll leave it there. Like, I'm like that. Like, and I say that as somebody who really got fascinated with the DID before it was even called DID. I believe it had another name before. I believe it was called like multiple personality disorder or multiple personality syndrome. Something like that. It was NPS or NPD. I believe that was the previous version of it before they came to dissociative identity disorder. And the way I've always seen DID is that depending on the person and what has happened in their lives, the reason to basically form an identity or a personality within yourself is the brain's way of understanding certain events, or the brain's way of dealing with some certain events when you are not possibly able to, or to defend yourself in a way from certain things and people or elements. It could be a lot of different reasons why the brain chooses to do things that it does. But with MITO here, it is very, very, very overwhelmingly certain that there was like, you could tell like there's a territorialness to him that I thought was pretty obvious from the moment I saw the So Beautiful music video. There's a territorialness that he has over Ian, and that's obvious as to why, because he sees him as an extension of himself, which he is, and the way that he wants it to be known that nothing that he's doing or that he's done has ever been to intentionally hurt him in any way, and that he didn't ask to become how he is or who he is, but he's here, and just have to navigate life around that. And I think that that's the interesting part about Skins, is that you see it's not necessarily fighting for control or fighting for dominance between DPR IAN and MITO. It's just more like who was going to relinquish control first? Who was going to allow one to lead versus the other, really? And it's kind of like an exchange. Like, kind of like that. Like, that's the way it seems. Like, even though it was very jerky movements, it is kind of like an exchange. Like, you have your time to do your thing. Because even MITO said that. Like, he buried certain things that he wanted to do so that Ian could do what he wanted to do. And I'm like, and that, it's not really like showing an internal conflict, because obviously outside of DID there is bipolar disorder, and that has its own things. As the wonderful person who left the comment, the really long comment, who did have bipolar disorder, who saw my video in, I believe, the Dear Insanity album reaction, they really left a very detailed meaning. And I do want people to remember that this is real for him. And it's not like a character. It's just his way of coping with what he has to deal with on a day-to-day. And you can make it fun. You can make it fun, and you can, make it easier to deal with that way. And it's just like what we say as, I've heard a lot of Black people say it, and I'm pretty sure other people say it. You gotta laugh to keep from crying. You gotta do things. You gotta joke about things that are really sometimes even like traumatic things, to like not let that mess with your brain. And I'm like, it's just the way that we cope. Everybody has their coping mechanism. Some people laugh about their pain. Some people make music about it. Some people make albums about it. Some people make movies about it. And it's the way that you can channel your anger, your frustration, and sometimes your loneliness and your sadness of what you've been through or what you're going through into something stable and something sound. And I think people need to remember that he's choosing to share this with us, but it's not everything that he goes through. And I'm really glad that he does have, a Dream Perfect or Dream or DPR team behind him. But I do want people to also remember that he is very much a person. And so is MITO. They are people. One and the same body, but they are separate. Similarities are there, obviously. Same face, but it's different people. And you do have to recognize that. And then I do really just respect the fact that he just, I don't know if he like edited it at all or anything like that, but he just kept it the way it was. And like, I don't think that there's a full version that needs to be made. MITO said everything that needed to be said in under 2 minutes. Like he said everything that needed to be said, and I feel like he spoke a lot about himself. And it really makes you just like respect MITO even more. He's already like had this feeling that he was like, not like I said, protective of Ian, but that he was considerate of him as well. Even though there is like some times where, like, I think he did say in a live where he had lost a gap of time when MITO had taken over. And he couldn't remember what happened. And there's those moments as well. And it's just a juggling act, a balancing act, if you will. Even just to balance himself every day. Because he doesn't just have DID, he also has bipolar disorder. But this is about MITO, and there's just something about him that is really, really interesting. And I can't put like a name to it, but it is something that you can relate to, that you can empathize with. And I'm like, because he didn't ask to exist, but he just came to be, and now he's here. And he's like, I didn't ask to be like this, and I didn't ask to, live this way necessarily. But he's making, I guess, the best of it in a way. And you're just going through the motions. And I'm like, and it can go both ways, both for DPR IAN, like I said earlier, and MITO themselves. But this is really eye-opening for me, because Seraph, like I always said, that it's like he sings the whale songs in a way. And you can really tell when it's MITO versus when it's IAN, because there's just a way that the depths of it, it's like not like a bottomless, it's not like a bottomless pit, but it is like, it comes from the deepest parts of the soul. That is what MITO sounds like a whale song. And the deepest parts of your soul, that is what he sounds like when he's on the track. That's why in Seraph you could really just tell. And I was like, that has to be him, because the way it was so deep and so like poignant as well, and so meaningful and so sorrowful and heartbreaking, yet kind of put you back together in a way as well. And it was everything all at once. And I'm just like, yeah. And I was just like, that makes sense. That encompasses it entirely. The feeling, the emotions, the uncertainty even. I'm like it's checking all the boxes. And I'm really proud of DPR IAN for sharing it, because it's not easy. What he goes through on a daily basis, I can't even begin to imagine. And, he wears it well, and he handles it well. And that's all I'm going to say. Like, he handles it well. Because, he handles it well. And I like how it says DPR and visuals IAN, DPR and visuals MITO. Because it's a balancing act with the ID. It is a balancing act. And, as long as everybody is cooperative and respectful, it can work well in these type of situations. And I'm really proud of MITO for telling his side of the story, and DPR IAN for releasing it to us. It's something else. It's something beautiful, something unique. And this is only the part of the story that they're both telling. Not the full picture yet, but it's beautiful. Heartbreaking at the same time. But it's beautiful nonetheless. Because sometimes that's just the way things are. I'm like, and that's the only way I can really think of it. But it's beautiful because it's honest and it's true. And it's better than anything that could be sugar-coated. Because these aren't the type of things that you want to be sugar-coated. You want for them to be as raw as possible. And this was raw. MITO was raw here. And I'm real proud of him. Hope he gives himself a pat on the back for it, because he kind of ate this down, and he was very honest and very real. And so that's my long-winded reaction to literally a video that is under 2 minutes. But I had a lot of random thoughts and ramblings. I don't know if any of this is going to make sense, but I'm going to post it anyway, because I like to do that. And so y'all have made it all the way to the end of this video. I do want to thank you for watching. It is longer than I thought it would be, and I had so many random thoughts and so many things I could not quite put into words, but that's kind of the whole point of art. Sometimes it leaves you speechless, and I'm going to just roll with that. And if you are watching this video on YouTube and you're a subscriber, once again, I want to thank you for being a subscriber. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you have yet to subscribe to the channel, do not forget to do so if you would like to do so. And also, if you're watching this on Patreon and you are a patron on the channel, a patron on the Patreon, please. A patron on the Patreon. I do want to thank you so much for being a patron. Again, your support is so very much appreciated. And y'all, I'll be back soon with another DPR IAN reaction, because I did see the comment about his interview that he did at the radio station, and I am going to get that into that, and also the Zach Sang interview as well, because I did see that one, and I've been trying to sit down and watch it and just be in the right mode to watch it. But I'm gonna get into it hopefully this weekend, because it is the 14th and the weekend is coming up, and the 14th of December. I gotta be specific. and the weekend is coming up, so I'm just gonna see where it takes me. Okay, but y'all will see it soon on Patreon, and you will also see it relatively soon on YouTube. So yeah, y'all, I will see you on the next video. But until then, bye.